And we're back, Stripe Show podcast on a Tuesday. I'm your host, Travis Fulton, back in the seat after 2 weeks of vacation. I'm in my studio. This thing is 90% done as I look around. I'll be shooting pictures out on Instagram at Travis Fulton. Go check that out. But as you can see here, we got the backdrop about golf simulators. Today's podcast brought to you by About Golf Simulators. And this hole that's in the backdrop, that's the 14th at the Coeur d'Alene Resort. I actually played that, about 5 days ago. Floating green, I hit it, was way right, barely got on, scrapped a par out of there. I was the only one to hit it in our group, though, so I guess that's kind of cool. But I'm going to be playing some golf in the sim this week, get back at it, some lessons, get this thing polished off. But more importantly, back in the saddle, Stripe Show podcast coming at you 4 days this week. Chris Gotterup was on with Froggy yesterday. Go check that out as he rolls into town in Detroit. He's got a couple weeks to make this thing happen. We'll be breaking down the Rocket Mortgage Classic and a guy that's way out in front this week. I needed to bring in a real expert because I'm a little light coming in on my research this week. I'll be full transparency here. Dave Barnett, Tour Junkies. I know he's done it. How you doing, buddy?
What's up, dude? That backdrop looks fantastic. I could make a ton of over-the-top moves into that screen, and I would just freaking love it. I would. Next time I get to Ponte Vedra, I have to do that.
You're not over the top anymore, are you? You can't be. It's impossible.
No, Travis, I'm less over the top. I'm
okay.
Considerably less over the top. But
so the path is what? Path is what? -2?
Yeah, it's like -2. I can get to like -1 or maybe. Right. But then there's also like the occasional -4 in there. We're getting there.
there. Now you are getting there. I've seen it. I've seen the updates. It's definitely
finally like pulling my hip. Like you always do. You always tell me to do that. I do that. But yeah, I get to the top in a good spot, and then I can't stop my shoulders from doing that whole move. So anyway,
right. You're not alone. You know that.
I know I'm not.
That's one of the most common errors in golf. I call that job security. I make a living out of actually I have a program designed for that. It's called Operation Baby Draw. Anyway,
yes, you do.
I know you're busy, man. I've seen a ton of content coming from the Tour Junkies. You and Pat, and then just you. Right, as well. I mean, my man, you're cranking. Give my audience a little bit what's going on here with the Tour Junkies.
You're seeing a ton of content come out of my ass. You ain't seeing nothing come out of Pat. He's sitting there in his cush white collar job somewhere. I quit my job 4 months ago to do this thing full time, and so basically, I'm a 38-year-old wannabe TikTok star at this point. Just doing dumb shit. Last week, I taped a golf ball to my forehead for a video. I'm doing but in addition, I am doing some stuff on YouTube a little more, putting out more podcasts, doing more research, just more and more. That's what we're doing. So it's a wild new adventure at Tour Junkies headquarters, but I'm pumped about it. But I'm tired too, brother. I'm tired.
You're doing a good job. I've been listening in. No, you're doing a good job. I like it. It's very thorough and it's to the point. Sometimes in podcasts, like it just goes on, and on and on and on. And hopefully, as my audience is listening to this, they're like, "Well, that's kind of like you, Travis." But anyway, you're to the point with your analysis and your breakdown. I really enjoy the course breakdowns. And your guys' picks aren't bad either. You guys, how many winners have you and Pat had this year? Is it up to 12?
It's at 14. We've had
14.
Pat's had 8. I've had 6, but I've had the big ones. I tend to bet the long numbers. So we've had a nice little run here. We hit Xander at 18-1 at Travelers, I think. Then I hit JT Poston at 65-1, and then I hit Cam Smith at 28-1 at the Open. We played the old course back in the middle of June, and I was on the 4th hole, and I looked at our group, and I said, this just feels like a Jordan Spieth, Cam Smith golf course. Like all the undulation, the short game, the creativity, the touch, the finesse required out there. And I stuck with my guns, thankfully, and I bet I pounded Cam Smith at 28-1, and it worked.
That's awesome. Yeah, nice hit there. More surprise, Xander Schauffele or Tony Finau got it to the finish line?
Actually, for me, I think it's Xander. Honestly.
Yeah, me too.
I've had some faith in Tony lately. Now, I'm not going to bet Tony last week at, what was he, like 10-1? Like, F that. Mm-hmm. If you're bragging about betting Tony Finau at 10-1 at any golf tournament, then I don't want to hear from you. I'm just, I don't care. I'm glad I missed out on that, honestly. But we did have Grillo on Pat's card at 65-1, so we were hoping that would pay off. He's been playing really nice lately, but obviously that was a collapse. And then the Piercy collapse was that was tough to watch. It was really tough to watch.
I'm surprised Piercy hasn't went to LIV yet, to be quite honest with you. The only reason he hasn't gone is because he hasn't been offered. That's it.
It can't. There's no way he's had an offer. That boy he'd go out there and play barefoot like he basically did today or what? Yes,
he might as well. He got no sponsors on his shirt. Yeah, anyway, let's talk about the LIV. LIV, 12 teams, 48 players, 54 holes, no cut, shotgun start. Sign me up. I get to spend time with my family. The buffet is really good.
The chain smokers are this week.
The chain smokers are playing. They take care of my coach, my caddy. The cars are really nice that we get to drive. I mean, what other more do you really need, Dave, to go make the jump to LIV? I mean, that's pretty much it. And you get to grow the game. And you get to grow the game. Is that enough for you? Oh, and by the way, we're gonna pay a lot of money up front. Is that cool too?
Yeah. The Brinks truck of cash is probably the number one deal, obviously, but the grow the game thing is I think the jury's still out on that, honestly. I mean, we actually did an interview with a guy who just played in his first, or actually just caddied in his first live golf event at Pumpkin Ridge. It's dropping. It may already be dropped by the time you listen to this, but it's coming out this week. Mm-hmm. And he talked about how, and I kind of get this. He talked about like, hey, I was in Portland and like Portland hasn't had a professional golf tournament come through there in 20 years, or it was like the U.S. Amateur, which I guess isn't even a professional tournament. So, he's talking about how Liv's going to take these pro tournaments and these big names to all these different places around the world. And it's going to expose people to professional golf and it's going to get people in the game. I guess in a way, like, I think he's right. I can kind of get there. But I also think that, as it stands today, unless things change, it's also fragmenting things and it can dilute all the products, right? Like if the PGA Tour and DP World Tour and Live Tour can't coexist and have players cross over and play these different events, and I've got, and then, bigger names move over to Live, whether it's at the end of the FedEx Cup or the end of the President's Cup. And I've got some of the best players in the world at Live and some of the best players in the world at the PGA and DP World Tour. And, only maybe 4 times a year they can play together. That doesn't grow the game to me. Like, that dilutes the product. It makes pro golf worse when I can't see these best in the world compete against each other. That's what I don't want to see.
Yeah.
Obviously, if they agree to all come together, and you and I were talking before the show, like Liv's going nowhere. They're not going anywhere. They're here. So you're not going to run them off. It's not happening. Like, they're here for at least, I would say, 3 to 5 years. And if they're still doing nothing but losing money, then I think they may. There's also rumors of big sponsorships buying these teams and possibly deal. Like, they're not going anywhere. So I think we got to figure out a way that these things are going to coexist, or the golf fan is going to pay the ultimate price.
Well, they're starting to pay the price because, this week it's been a bumpy ride on the PGA Tour with the field. I was talking about it before I left for vacation. I was like, strap up here in July because you're not going to have much to watch on the PGA Tour. This week's a little bit better with Cantlay and Zalatoris, and you got Finau coming off the win, and Cameron Young in the field, and Max Homa, but that's not exactly an A-list lineup either. So you've got the LIV Golf Invitational at Bedminster up at Trump's place, and all right, so there's DJ, there's Brooks, there's Bryson, and now you add Jason Kokrak, Charles Howell III, and Henrik Stenson. And here's where the shots continue, and we'll get to the Rocket Mortgage here after this. But here's where the shots continue now, I think, for the viewer, is because now you just had the European coach, Henrik Stenson, who took the job to be the captain for the European team in the Ryder Cup, which up until this point, Dave, as far as I can tell, that's a huge, huge win and responsibility for that person. Zach Johnson, of course, on the other side, the American team, the Ryder Cup, in my opinion, is the greatest event in professional golf. And now you've had basically the captain decide to take the money versus be the captain of the European team. And that's where we're going. And now that's going to start hurting professional golf. And I think we're already there where people are going to take the money versus playing a major championship, because it feels like that's where we're going as well with the Open, and the way those press conferences were going. I don't know that. It hasn't been definitive yet. But look, man, Stenson leaving for cash. I mean, I get it. God bless you. Go get it. But man, that's a dagger, isn't it?
Yeah, it feels just yucky, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
I've been to the last 2 Ryder Cups. I was in Paris. I was in Hazeltine. I agree with you, man. There's just nothing like it, and there's nothing like watching it. And there's nothing like being there in person. And for all the history and all the pride that the Europeans have shown with the Ryder Cup, and Stenson's an older guy, right? Like he's been in so many Ryder Cups.
Yeah.
It just does feel like, I mean, a massive. It just feels like a bad, PR issue for the tour and for the PGA of America, I guess. But I mean, obviously, losing Stenson doesn't really on a week-to-week basis. It's not.
No.
It doesn't. We're losing anything. I mean, and if we're honest, like on a week-to-week basis, we really haven't lost much outside of DJ, Bryson, Brooks, and Patrick Reed. We still haven't lost much.
I agree. Those are the 4. Yeah, I agree.
Those are the 4. And for people who like, you're talking about all the content I'm doing, like some of these TikToks I've done. I got people responding on my TikToks going, Brooks is washed up and DJ's a fraction of himself. Bryson will never do anything again. He got injured. I'm like, you guys are idiots. Like,
right.
These guys they're in a slump, and like golf careers are cyclical a lot of times. And Bryson is still a major draw in golf, especially Bryson is still a major draw in golf. And I mean, he showed it at the Open Championship. Look how, and all these people were commenting before the Open, and then he backdoor top 10s or whatever he did. I mean, like Bryson is a needle mover. DJ's still a needle mover. Brooks is still a needle mover.
Oh, yeah.
And so like we do need these guys. Those 4 are the ones we've lost. And Patrick Reed's the villain that we all need. We need villains on the PGA Tour. It sounds like it's going to be Golden Boys PGA Tour. All the guys you want to bring home to mama if you're an eligible bachelorette out there. And then the live is going to be, all the bad boys. I don't know.
They can have Brooks.
Yeah, I'm over Brooks. Totally over
Yeah.
Brooks. They can have Brooks. I would 100% agree. I would rather have, if I had to pick 3, give me Reed, Bryson, and DJ back on the PGA Tour, and Brooks can chill.
Eugenia Chikara. I didn't like to see that. I didn't like to see Chikara go.
Wasn't he on your show?
Yeah. I spent some time with Chikara. I got to know him at the PXG College Showcase last year. I watched him shoot 59 in the practice round before we taped the next day. He's really good friends with Sergio. Sergio kind of guides him, so I'm sure he influenced him a little bit there. What was he? Number 2 ranked player in college. I mean, he's just. I mean, speaking of here's how good he is. We were walking with all of these college coaches, significant college coaches, and watching Chikara. I mean, you could just see just his level of play and how it was just that much better, than kind of everyone else. And everyone else around him was good. Obviously, he's very good too.
Yeah.
But it was like this kid's going to play on the Ryder Cup. Like that's what we were talking about. That was the discussion. And here we are. I mean, young player has taken the money, and he's a wonderful young man too. I mean, terrific young man. Couldn't have been more accommodating to the other players and people around him. And I mean, he just got charm. And I don't know. I hate losing young people like that. But here, like, as I've said, and I've taken a beating. I mean, if you follow me on Instagram, I mean, look, people have lit me up on, you're a PGA Tour homer. No, I mean, not exactly. I mean, I'm being open-minded about this. Like, I want what's best for the game. I'm in the media business. I'm open-minded about live. I'm going to cover live. And, and that's the way it's going to be. And I'm sure you're going to probably do some betting shows eventually in the future as it continues to grow, because it's not going away. They're getting more players. There's going to be more that's coming. And it's just unbelievable discussion on where professional golf is going to be at Augusta first week of April, next year. It's just going to be like, where are we going to be at? And if people are taking the money instead of playing for a green jacket, professional golf is broken at that point. It's broken.
Dude, I don't know. I don't feel like it's gonna get there. I don't feel like I don't feel like you know, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what Augusta's gonna do. And dude, it's crazy how Loctite it is around here. I mean, I'm in Augusta, and I have
Yeah.
friends that work out there, that are on the landscaping crew out there, that are caddies out there, and you hear nothing. I mean, it is so locked down over there. You can only speculate. I can't. I have a hard time imagining the amount of past champions that are at Live and could still go to Live. Um, I have a hard time believing Augusta National would not allow those players to come back.
Mhm.
I just have a hard time believing that. Now, does that mean that they say if you're a past champion, you can come, but if you don't otherwise meet the qualifications based on your whatever happens with the world golf ranking stuff, or I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to work. But I mean, Augusta's got a full PR team at work, I'm sure.
You know what I'm waiting for? Last thing before we get to the Rocket Mortgage is I'm waiting for the LIV tattoo on Phil's calf. I mean, come on. Come on.
What was Phil doing in Rwanda?
What's he waiting for?
What was Phil doing in Rwanda? Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
He's hanging around with gorillas? Or he could have just been in like the Columbus Zoo and just shot it and told everybody he was in Rwanda. Also, I've never understood guys that wear plain colored hats with no logo. It was just a black hat, no logo. Like, are you an umpire? Did you just leave a little league game?
I think it's just a posturing move. I think he's just like, I'm the rebel. I'm a badass.
He did look like, I mean, he is embracing the villain when he
he's bad. Oh yeah.
At the Open with the black undershirt and the black pullover and the gnarly beard, like he'd been doing some meth or something. Yeah. It's interesting. It's crazy to watch. I mean,
hey, give me the LIV tattoo on the cap and I'm in. I'm all in.
All right. So you're I wonder if there's a bet out there you can find that. Will Phil's tattoo live somewhere?
Rocket Mortgage Classic. Here we are, 4th year, Detroit Golf Club, par 72. What is it, 7,300 plus? Cameron Davis, defending champ, 18 under. Bryson's won here, 23. Nate Lashley, 25. All right. I mean, look, I know the typical approach game, and I think here, give me some distance off the tee. I think that's going to play out. But this is a putting contest, isn't it, this week?
Yeah, I think
this is it.
I think it turns into that. It's similar to, in some ways, it's similar to last week. In there, it's a birdie fest. This is what we've seen for the first 3 years. Obviously, it's different off the tee than what we saw last week at TPC Twin Cities. Last week, you had a lot of water hazards in play, a lot of trouble out there if you really sprayed it. From what we hear so far and what we've seen so far and what the data says, it's not super penal off the tee. It can limit driver a little bit just because of angles or stuff like that. But there's not a whole lot of trouble out here for the modern game. It's an old Donald Ross course, renovated in 2019. People talk about it being tree lined. What we've heard is that the trees they're in play really only if you really spray it. But being in the rough, Cam Davis was in the rough a fair amount last year and still never really looked like he was in trouble, getting on the greens. It's got some of the highest, it's got some of the highest greens in regulation percentage on the PGA Tour since 2015. It ranks the 7th easiest with an average green and reg percentage at 75%. So, when you have a high GIR percentage like that, then it does come down to putting because most of your guys are going to hit the green and reg. Now who's going to make the putts? You're going to hear about this being a bent grass, POA mix. From everything we hear, it rolls like bent. But then you got guys like Brant Snedeker, I think in 2019 talked about how he's comfortable putting on these POA greens. So I don't know. It's weird. Just look at putting. Okay. It ranks as one of the easiest in terms of hitting fairways, and it ranks as one of the longest in terms of average driving distance. So guys are, gonna hit driver, gonna hit fairways, gonna hit greens. You can toss out your strokes gain around the greens number or stat because if people are if they're having to do that, they're in trouble from the jump. So, maybe looking at Donald Ross specific, guys who've putted well on Donald Ross courses, we kind of know he's got that turtleback sloped undulation kind of, style there. So that may be something to look at, but it's a tournament where you're going to have to embrace a lot of variance, if you ask me, because when it's a putting contest, it opens it up. And also, like, we've seen guys win with terrible records. I mean, Cam Smith, Davis, won coming off of 2 missed cuts at this event the first 2 years. Nate Lashley won the first year and then missed the cut the next 2. Bryson won in 2020 and then missed the cut last year. So like there's it's a lot of variance here. So you can get comfortable with a little variance, I think.
Well, here's your best putters. Let's go last 50 rounds. McCarthy, no surprise.
Yeah.
Brendan Todd, no surprise. Bo Hostler, no surprise. Hostler doesn't get enough credit for his putting. Chesson Hadley's intriguing to me, Dave. Chesson Hadley's intriguing to me. He's 4. Kelly Craft 5. Harris English 6. Harris seems to be, his head seems to be popping above water again here. Cantlay 7. Mackenzie Hughes, Kuchar, Ryan Gay. There's your top 10. Troy Merritt's 11. He's played well here in the past. Those are
lost in the playoff to Cam Davis last year.
So to our audience, if you're like, yeah, give me a putter, there's your top 10 in the last 50 rounds. Now let's go to the odds. Your favorite's Cantlay right now. As I open up, he's 8-1. Zalatoris in the field at 12. Max Homa, 14-1. Finau coming in at 14. Cameron Young, 18. McNeely, 25. Adam Scott, 25. Before we kind of sprinkle in on who we like there, what is the percent that Cantlay goes to live at the end of East Lake?
Yeah.
What's the percent? More than 50?
It feels like it. Yeah.
Xander too.
Unfortunately. I mean, they're buddies. They're pretty close.
Well, you know Xander's going to play East Lake.
Yeah.
That dude owns that place.
The fear of Hideki going too. Here, and he's getting the bag. So let me ask you this. I don't remember. Do you have a specific sports book that you have to look on, or can we shop around a little bit?
I shop around. Right now I'm looking at DraftKings, and of course people, they need to look around, but those are the odds right now as we come on at DraftKings.
Well, I mean, you mentioned Max Homa at 14-1. That's the shortest you can find Homa anywhere. So I love Max Homa here. At BetMGM, he's 25-1. You can get 25-1 there. So I love that. I mean, Homa's clicking on all cylinders. The putter is actually, I don't think he's another one. I don't know that he gets enough credit for how well he putts, especially on bent and Poa grass. The ball striking is tremendous, but the putter has also been really good for Max lately. So I like that. I like Cam Young.
Me too.
20-1 on BetMGM, and that's probably at those shorter numbers. That's kind of where I like to be. I'm not going to bet the favorite no matter what. And then Will Zalatoris. What's your thought on Zalatoris? Like I'm in the camp of we've really only seen Will come through with a top 5 in a putting contest, which we just talked about this being a putting contest. If you go back and look at what he's done all year, only one putting contest has he finished in the top 5. I think that was the Amex, if I remember correctly, because so that was all the way back in, or no, the Farmers and the Amex. But since then, his 6th at the Masters, that's not a putting contest. His 2nd at the PGA Championship, not a putting contest. 5th at Memorial, not a putting contest. Runner-up at U.S. Open, not a putting contest. Another putting contest is AT&T Byron Nelson. What'd he do? He trunk slammed. So I don't know. I worry about him having to make a bunch of putts. When par is your friend and you just hit a bunch of greens in reg and 2-putt, I trust him there. And we've seen him. He can get hot with the putter for sure. And the ball striking is tremendous. That's the camp I'm in. But, obviously he's a really talented player. What do you think?
Yeah, I'll pass on him this week on a putting contest. I will say this, and have been preaching this for the last week or month and a half with him. His putting has gotten better.
Yeah.
There's no question about it. Is he an elite putter? No, but it's getting better. I do feel like he's getting he's gaining confidence in what he's doing. Will that unusual yip in the backswing go away? Who knows? He may be stuck with that forever, but I do think just overall his putting has gotten better. I'll pass on him here. I think Cameron Young kind of lost the putter a little bit there for a bit, and where he was cruising. Obviously, he putted very well at the Open. I'll tell you what, Cameron Young has exceeded expectations. He was a player for me to watch this year, along with Mito Pereira and some others, but he's exceeded my expectations. I mean, my goodness, this kid is good. I mean, keep him out of a bunker and just let him, have just a reasonable putting week. And he's going to be there late on a Sunday. He is long. He can hit his irons. His short game is above average, except for the bunker.
Yeah.
Dude, I would not. I'm really leaning hard on Cam Young to get his first win this week.
He is fun to watch. And I mean, I just did not see him coming at all at the old course, and he
Right?
he just brutalized that golf course.
Yeah.
He's a Northeast kid from New York. Grew up playing Sleepy Hollow. His dad's the teaching pro at Sleepy Hollow. Not a bad situation there. So probably quite familiar up in this area. Bent POA mixtures on the greens and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, he's going to be able to just unleash and do his thing here. I really like the kid as well. And he's been, I mean, he's easily rookie of the year right now. I mean, I don't think it's even close.
Yeah, it's been impressive to watch, and he just looks like he belongs. He's one of those dogs that I've been around him a couple times, like on the range. He's just like, don't piss that dude off, man. Like he's got a little dog in him, which I love, and he's close. He is obviously knocking on the door. I tell you, this next range is interesting. McNeely 25, Adam Scott played well last week 28. McCarthy's interesting. Speaking of first time winners, could it be 35? Kisner's played well at 35. Cameron Davis won here at 35. Bradley's checked out. Speaking of improvement in putting, praise the Lord, Keegan Bradley, because no one deserves it more than him. No one deserves the improvement with the flat stick than Keegan Bradley. I salute Keegan Bradley. The putting contest, kind of weird to say, but kind of checks a lot of boxes, and his putting has gotten better, hasn't it?
I'm a huge Keegan Bradley homer. I mean, on our shows every week, if Keegan's in the field, I mean, just because the ball striking is just so consistent for him, and if he can be neutral or even slightly positive, usually with the putter, which you're right, he's improved on, then he's the real deal. I mean, he's a veteran player. I'm definitely interested in Keegan. I like I like Mav. I'm still debating. I think the jury's a little out on Mav for me right now. Still, he's been playing a lot of golf. I know he's a young kid, but he's been playing a lot of golf. I'm a little worried about fatigue setting in for McNeely a little bit. Denny is a guy that I think I'll probably play in DFS. I think he's going to be.
Yeah.
I think he's overpriced in DFS, and people are going to dodge him. I'll probably go there. I think he's also a little short here in the odds, so I don't know that I'll touch him. I like Chris Kirk in this range. You didn't mention him, but he's 42-1 on FanDuel. I think that's the best number you can get. Or 42-1 on FanDuel. I like Kirk here. I think he's got a really strong skill set for this place, does everything well. Short game is good, hits a lot of fairways, hits a lot of green in regulation. He's had a great year. I kind of toss out the Scottish Open and the Open Championship. I mean, he made the cut in both, but not great finishes to speak of. That's different golf. That's much different golf. He's played here twice, finished 12th and 21st. I think Chris Kirk is a very interesting play at 42-1. And Scott's kind of tempting too.
Yeah. Interesting with Chris Kirk. I'll tell you what, McCarthy, I feel like has kind of gained another gear this year. Like his iron game has gotten a little bit better. 5th Memorial, 7th U.S. Open, 6th at the John Deere. I know the John Deere is not exactly the best field in the world, but neither is this.
Yeah.
His putting is so freaking good. I mean, the guy putts to the ocean, for crying out loud. I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's actually gotten better as the year has gone on.
McCarthy's definitely in play.
Well, I made a statement. We were talking in length about Denny McCarthy. I think it was around the U.S. Open time. And I felt like he's getting closer to a win. Like, I feel like a Denny McCarthy win is going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely trending. It's. I mean, the number of top 10s and top 15s he's had this year has been very consistent. The putter has been extremely consistent. When he has those spike weeks with the irons, he can really be deadly. And so one thing we didn't talk about in the kind of the course breakdown is this really does also turn into a wedge fest for a lot of players. The par fives. There are some par fives that they'll go for in 2, but then you're wedging it in there from close range. But there's a lot of short par 4s here. So it does turn into a wedge fest a little bit as well for almost everybody. You're not going to be hitting a lot of long irons in here, and Denny's not a long hitter.
Mm-mm.
Now looking at his like proximity totals, it's kind of interesting. He's not as good with like that 100-yard range, 125-yard range as he is from like the 150, 175 range, at least according to Fantasy National over the longer term. But obviously he can be hot. So with that kind of putter, he's in play. I just don't know that I love him to win at 40-1 with some of these other guys around him.
Right. Why wouldn't Kisner go to Live?
I mean,
he had to have been offered.
I would not be surprised if he doesn't, honestly.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't. Just knowing Kiss.
Yeah, I would think he has enough name value that he would have been offered by now. And at his stage in the career, I mean, he still obviously he still can be competitive. And he's played well here
on certain tracks. You know what I mean? Like,
we were
talking about that last night on our show. It's like Kiss can go on this run of missed cuts, and then he can all of a sudden boom, top 10, top 5, and it's so golf course dependent for him.
Yeah,
I think some of it too, I think, is just mental. Like,
I
know he checks out on some of these courses where he just knows he can't compete from a distance standpoint. And this is not one of those courses. So I think the courses on the PGA Tour rotation are fewer and far between for him that he really feels like I've got a chance. And then if you have an off week in one of those, you feel like you've lost, a large chunk of your opportunity. So I could see him making that move.
People probably wondering why we haven't said Davis Riley yet. I mean, I think now the train of Davis Riley, the heater, is definitely cooled off as of late. Missed the cut last week.
How good is his swing? Do you just love?
Oh, it's one of my favorites. Yeah, for sure.
Hot.
He's exceeded my expectations too. He has hit the ball better with his irons, like significant improvement this year, and just had an incredible heater in May and June.
Yep.
With it. I feel like I'm going to pass here on Riley at this point, this week, and in that range, I'm going to stay. I'm going to stay. Sometimes, Dave, I drive myself nuts where I'll in these podcasts doing it 4 days, this is how I believe in players, and I'll make a statement, and it's like, oh, we're close, and then I'll kind of come off of it and they'll win. And it's like, God, just stay with it.
Yep.
So I'm going to stay with it with Denny. I'm kind of like, he's going to get a win. So I'm going to stay with it this week. Putting contests, he's given up a little distance, but yeah, okay, we can iron game, getting better, wedge it, check. Let's make some putts. I just can't bet Tringali. No way. Hadwin at 40. Here, now we start getting Hadwin's, yeah, Hadwin's intriguing. Yeah, he always is, right? In kind of this type of field. Decent number, right? Do you think for him at around 40?
Yeah, I actually think that number is. I mean, we were looking at Hadwin at the John Deere as the co-favorite with Webb Simpson just a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, this field, the top end of this field is a little stronger, but I mean, I don't see why Hadwin is priced honestly longer than some of the guys above him. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't price him longer than Cameron Tringali or
No.
maybe even Mav McNeely, just in terms of, I mean, Hadwin's been playing really well. This place fits him. He's a PGA Tour winner. McNeely's still knocking on the door or trying to kick down the door, if you will. I don't know. I think Hadwin's in play. I don't know if he'll make the final DB's Big Balls betting card, but he's one I got my eye on at the moment.
You drinking the Sahith Theegala Kool-Aid too?
Sahith needs to take a nap. The dude's been playing a lot of golf. He's been traveling. He left the John Deere, went straight to the Open, played well at the Open, came straight home, then played. I mean, the guy just needs to slow down. He's like 38th in the FedEx Cup standings, and that's before they removed maybe a name or two in front of him. He's fine. Like, just take a break, Sahith. Like, sit down. He's giving Sung Jae a run for his money. I'm worried about I know he's a young kid, but dang. I think I'm bouncing on this on Sahith. I bounced on him last week for the same thing. I mean, and I guess he got a day's rest after trunk slamming Friday, but I just think he's played so much golf. I just can't.
I agree.
Even guys, it just gets to be, it takes a toll on you. So I think I'm out.
So I've been kind of out in front with Webb here. Been talking with his caddy a decent amount, and he's healthy. He's not the same, obviously, version of himself that we've seen from Webb Simpson in the past when he's winning golf tournaments. But man, missing the cut at the John Deere was like, really? Okay. And then he misses the cut at the Open. So here I am, like, gosh, really? Like I do feel like he's just putting the pieces together. But yeah, here I am. Like, do I stay on him or do I jump ship? And if I jump ship, then sure enough, he's going to open with 64 on Thursday, and off we go. But I think I am going to jump ship. I do.
Well, it's hard for you. I mean, I know Paul Tesori, such a great guy. He's just the nicest guy in the world. And he's so positive. He's so positive. So you get it from Paul Tesori and you're like, God dang it.
Yeah.
Webb's back, because that's what Paul's going to say. And, it's hard. Like just what I see from him doesn't show me anything in terms of winning. I think he's been struggling to get a top 10 since he's come back, right? And he knows how to win when he's in it. Obviously, he's a veteran, but he's just not there quite yet. That's the thing we got to remind ourselves looking at these outright numbers is like, we're talking winning, right? This isn't just guys I like. This isn't guys I think I'm going to roster in DFS. This isn't guys I'm going to roster as a top or bet as a top 20 or in a matchup. I'm talking close the door, hold the trophy on Sunday. So I think I'm out too.
All right, stop me on a name. I'm gonna run down this list.
Okay.
Stop me when you like one here that we think could win as we start getting now into the 50s, 55s. Kuchar's at 50. Siwoo's at 50. Woodland's at 55. Don't stop me at Henley at 55.
Not.
Hubbard, 55. Streels, 55. Ju-Young Kim, 55. Scotty Stallings on the pod a couple weeks ago, 55. Yeah, we hit that one too. It was a top 10 for us.
That's my guy. I like him a lot in this range. You can get him at 60 still on FanDuel. I mean, Scott just seems. I love Scott. I love his caddy John Yarborough. I love JT Poston and Aaron Fleener. And watching those guys come down the stretch at the John Deere was tough. I had money on Poston. I didn't have money on Stallings, but kind of gutted for Stallings and Yard Dog there at the end. But he's been real close, real close. And I think this is a good spot for him. I like Stallings to pick up his next win. It's been a long time for him. So yeah, I really like him at that 60-1 on FanDuel is the best number that you can get. He's played here all 3 years and he's improved every year. 64th in year one, 39th in 2020, and then 25th last year.
Won the Farmers back in 2014.
Yep, it's been a while.
And he did it with his putter positive 8.3. If he does that again this week, count your money, and you heard it right here.
Yep.
Troy Merritt.
Yes.
60.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm in on
Troy. Boise State Bronco.
Lost in the playoff to Davis last year, and has been playing solid. Another guy that can get pretty hot with the putter, hits a lot of fairways, hits a lot of greens in regulation. I'm interested in Troy Merritt for sure. We saw him play over in Scotland at the Genesis, and then saw him last week where he gained strokes across. I mean, he gained 8.3 strokes ball striking last week, but lost 5.6 putting. And guess what? Troy Merritt has 241 documented shot link tracked PGA Tour events. Okay, that's a lot.
Wow.
His putting week last week, the worst in all 241 documented events. Do we think that's going to happen again? No, we don't. Like that's a bad week. That's variance. That's terrible, right? But look at how he's been rolling the rock before that. Like he's a solid putter. I'm in on Troy here for sure. He's a long shot at 60-1, but I like it.
Troy doesn't get enough credit for how good of a player he is. Troy Merritt.
He's kept his card for so long. Like
I know,
and he's always like he's just around. He's maybe a boring dude, and he's nothing sexy about him. He's a Wilson guy, which nobody thinks is real sexy. He wears baggy shirts, and everybody else is wearing, tight stuff with biceps popping out. I don't know, but he's solid.
I think the guy below him could be a little bit of a sleeper, Pendrith, as he gets back into the flow here a little bit at 60. I don't know if I'll bet him to win, but I think he makes the cut. I'll go top 20 on Pendrith.
Yeah, I'm seeing his name buzz around on Twitter a little bit already today. So I think he's definitely one to look out for.
Hughes 60, Brendan Steele, he'll probably get some respect at 70. Cameron Champ pretty much disappeared from any first, second, third page of a leaderboard.
Yeah,
at
now
75.
you were on vacation last week though. He
Yeah.
in our Discord server, I posted his press transcript from last week because it was his first event back for a while, and he's a defending champion there, or was a past champion there. No, he was the defending champion there. Anyway, and he talked about how much healthier he is now. He said he had some personal stuff going on. He felt like he was in a much better place mentally. He was excited about his game. He was excited about getting back at it. And he was kind of a late addition for me in DFS last week, and it panned out. I think he finished like 16th or something, which at his ownership and price was pretty good. So I don't know that I want to bet him to win either. I'm not ready to. I don't think this is as good a course for him, maybe, but I think he might be. I think he might be a little bit back.
Yeah, he doesn't check out on bent all that well. But
putting is a struggle for him.
But yeah, I mean, he had to be encouraged, right? 16th at the 3M Open. It was his first top 20 since May, where he was in Mexico. And then he was 10th at the Masters, which I don't think. I mean, he tends to like Augusta.
Bombs away there,
that like it
is a weapon at Augusta for sure.
Boy, he's just interesting to me. Champ is just as freaking hard as he hits it, with the driver, and it's got to be. It's got to be mentally draining to just lose strokes putting every single week. Like if I could just somehow get the damn ball in the hole and be like positive 0.1.
Yeah. Just to not lose 2 shots of, a tournament.
Have a couple drinks, positive 0.1 putting. Let's celebrate.
Yep. There's a lot of guys out on tour like that though.
All right, here's the next 5 names. Tell me if you like one out of these 5. They're all at 80. Luke List, Ryan Palmer, Nick Hardy, CT Pond, Johnny Vegas, Alex Smalley, and Patrick Rogers. That's 6 names. Sorry.
All right, there's a couple in there I like. My favorite one, and I hate myself for this. This is self-abuse. Is Patrick Rogers. I mean, just F it, man. The guy, I've been doing this for 7 years, and he's been on tour all 7 years, and he's never paid me. He's never paid me any money, but yet here I go. He's like an abusive spouse that I can't get away from. I just feel like with his distance and his putter here, I like it. But gosh dang it, that's all I got. I don't
see. I'll go with Smalley. Like
I like Smalley. He was the second one.
Yeah. I love Alex Smalley. I think he's, I think if he could I think he's kind of learning. I kind of feel like he's learning the courses and the greens and right now. But I like what I see from his iron game. I think he'll do enough with his driver. Like if he could I don't feel like he's a bad putter. I feel like he's learning.
Yeah.
And I feel like Alex Smalley has a high ceiling. I think Alex Smalley has the goods to win on the PGA Tour. I do.
Yep, I think he could be a surprise winner in the next 12 months or so. I like Smalley a lot.
I'm going to sprinkle him in the 80-85 range. That's one where I'll go. Like because I'm not going to do Rogers. Like I feel your pain there. I'm not doing Vegas, and I probably won't do CT Pond. Now we're into the hundreds and. Yep. Sig, who played well last week, Grayson Sig.
Sig is trending.
Sig is trending, yeah.
If you look at his ball striking, and I think like looking at himself in the FedEx Cup standings a few weeks ago may have lit him up. We haven't really talked about that a lot, but you got this week and next week, all these bubble boys. And now there just was an article that came out today about the tour and the names that are still in the FedEx Cup standings that are live and how they'll be removed and all this stuff. But anyway, Sig has kind of been, was on a bubble until a few weeks ago. And now I think he's just inside maybe the 125. So he's still got to have, he's got to get it done. But I mean, the dude could not do anything better than a 25th finish. I think he had a 22nd at Bermuda, and that's it this whole season. And then he finally cracks the top 20 with a 16th at the John Deere, and then a 27th at Barbasol, 7th last week at the Open. He's trending. I think Sig is interesting. He's a winner at every level. This is a stud player in college, stud player in the Korn Ferry Tour. I think if you get him in contention, he could close the door.
You just sold me. I'm gonna sprinkled it. I just looked at. Yeah, he is. I mean, his iron game. Wow, he has turned it on, and another good putting week, and there's another top 20 in there for sure. And Gim showed some life last week.
Yep.
Let's see, Wyndham Clark 100, Danny Willett 100, had Goddard on yesterday 100. He's got. I mean, look, 100 to 1 up. I might sprinkle it.
Hey, that price is now. That's something to look at. Like I was very much out on Chris Goddard when he was 30 to 1 or whatever. I mean, it got insane after his John Deere performance. It was a little much, but 100 to 1 for sure on that.
Yeah. I mean, Goddard's, I think, kind of one of those kids too that he's been on the pod a couple times. He's a mature guy that I feel like is kind of learning the courses too a little bit, and he can bomb it off the tee. He's got an extra gear, like he can reach back and nuke it.
Yeah.
One of the most commented videos I've ever posted on my Instagram was him hitting a driver off the putting green. And he works with Jason Birnbaum. Yeah. And in the back of the range in Jason's academy, the putting green is the furthest back. So they basically had to try to get as back far as they can to give, as much range space as possible. And so he would tee it up on the back of the green and hit his ball.
Teed it up. I thought you were talking about he hit it like the ball sitting.
No, he would tee it up on the putting green. And people are like, oh, what a jackass. Like I'm talking. Oh, no. It's like, relax. Like, this is a professional golfer. They're doing it.
You can't contain the kid. He hits it so freaking far.
And his iron game's good. I mean, he's kind of steep on it, traps it, and he controls it. And his short game's not bad. His putting is not bad. Like Goddard's got a ceiling too. I like sprinkling the ceiling. To me, Smalley, Goddard. I'm not going to bet Ricky. I'm not betting Willett.
No, I like Callum Tarrant down here. I think
he's come on. Yeah,
130 to 1. The Englishman, he hits it pretty far too. I saw him play at Byron Nelson. Followed him for a couple of groups. Definitely bombs it. Hits a lot of greens and reg, and he's turned up here lately too. Like Sig, I think starting to fall back in that FedEx Cup standings. I actually think right now. Currently, the PGA Tour has him listed as the 126 guy, but when you take out the live guys, he's up there a little bit. So he's just inside of the top 125 at the moment, but he needs to keep it rolling as well. I really like Callum Tarrant. I think he could be a stud.
Yeah, I think Sig and Tarrant are both trending for sure. He needs to pull the trigger faster, though. That dude takes forever.
Tarrant?
Oh my God. I mean, it's like this. It's like.
Oh, you talking about swinging or putting?
Yeah.
Oh, just looking at it a lot. He can't.
Oh my God! It's like, dude, hit it.
I can't.
Producer's like, what look was that? That was his fourth. We still got 5 seconds.
Yeah,
we'll get to him.
There's some other, bombs in here, though.
All right, let's get to the bombs here. Let's get to the bombs. Give me a name. Is it Jason Day to withdraw? That's not a bomb. That's a guarantee.
He needs points, man.
He does.
No, Kurt Kitayama at 100 to 1 on DraftKings. He's another mauler. He hits it a long way. He's just got like a lot of speed to him. Like he can get hot and run, or he can just trunk slam. But Kitayama's got a lot of upside. I like that. Another young guy that's trending outside of the FedEx 125 is Glig. He's currently at 140. Michael Glig, another long hitter that can get going with the putter. He's one I'm looking at as well.
Yeah, I've seen his name. I've been running some models here this morning. I've seen his name kind of pop up a little bit.
He's playing really well. I mean, he's turned it up. I mean, this might be one of his better stretches on the PGA Tour. He's made his last 7 cuts, which is impressive for him. That's a T24 in Mexico, a 40th at the Travelers, a 10th at the Deere, 21st at the Barbasol, and 16th last week. And he's doing a lot of it off the tee and with the putter, which is essential here.
Yeah, I'm pulling up strokes gain approach here just to kind of nail it down here.
Numbers have been okay. He's had peak weeks.
You like Smotherman? Are you a Smotherman guy?
I love Austin Smotherman.
Do you?
I'm big buddies with his caddy, Austin Goggard, and Smotherman is a tremendous ball striker. The flat stick lets him down from time to time, and sometimes he's a big number maker. Like he'll make a ton of birdies, but he can't leave the double or something off the card. So he's got to work on that. But I like him as a top 20 bet, top 40 bet for sure. Don't know if I'm ready to bet him outright yet, though.
Well, I mean, to that point, you've got Svensson, who I've been kind of taunting for all year. You know, I think Svensson's a nice, very nice ball striker. He gets clunky around the greens, but okay, I can look past that this week. And he's a nice putter. You know, Svensson's he can, you know, his strokes gain putting is good. I think he gets a little bit wishy-washy as he gets in close, not to the Will Zalatoris effect, but you know, gosh, 6 at Barbasol, 24 John Deere, 25 Travelers, 21st RBC before the missed cut at the 3M where he just didn't play good at all. I'll stay with. I'll look past it and go with this Svensson. I mean, he made a run. He was right there heading into Sunday at Barbasol, which we know is an opposite field event. But that had to feel good to get in the mix. Maybe a little fatigue coming off of that into, well, he had a week off though, so. All right. I mean, I'll probably sprinkle Svensson as I do to win. And then I like to play him in the top 20, which he's been just brutal to me, 24, 25, 21. And then finally at Barbasol, I've been consistent with him. But I like Svensson. I do. I think he's a nice looking player. And in this kind of field, maybe he can get back on the horse here, get the irons going. And if he does, that putter usually will cooperate.
Yeah, Smotherman's kind of my guy. That's probably your Svensson. That's continued to let me down for top 20s, but he's got like top 30s. So and Svensson's a good player. He let a lot of people down last week in terms of DFS, but I could see a bounce back for him for sure.
All right, anybody else down there? I mean, we're getting into some let's get into some names here. Let's go. I mean, we're down in here.
Lebiota's down here. He's trending a little bit.
Brandon Matthews, a big hitter coming up. He got an invite here. He's at 400 to 1. Yeah, he got in. And he can bomb it.
Yeah.
He made the cut at the US Open.
Yeah. Lebiota and Hayden Buckley down there. Like Lebiota, you can get at 150 to 1. Hayden Buckley's another really good ball striker. Just needs putter to click at 160 to 1. I mean, Pat talked about this guy last night on our show, Trey Mullinax at 130 to 1, or sorry, 150 to 1 on BetMGM, who just won. Was it the Barracuda or the Barbasol? One or the other. And then he went over to the Open and finished 21st. Like, and he's a PGA Tour veteran. You know, he lost his card, had to come back, hits it a long way. Like, he's a veteran on tour. He's played nice. He's played some, nice weeks out on tour over his career. Mullinax is interesting at 150, but obviously maybe more of a top 20 or 40 bet.
Bo Hostler's 150 to 1.
Hostler for sure. Another thing about Hostler's, you were talking about his putter. He hits it a long way.
He does. Yeah.
His irons are freaking terrible. You need to get him in your studio and help him out with his irons are awful. I don't know who his coach is, but that's that dude's problem. If he could figure out his irons to be able to hit it that far and putt it that well, jeez.
I do know who his coach is. And Hostler, it's interesting. Like he's one of those players where you watch him hit. And I said this with Davis Riley earlier in the year too, because his golf swing's so good. And I remember watching him. Where was I? We were up at Hilton Head, I think. And you watch that swing and you're like, how in the hell does that guy finish where he does in strokes gain approach? And then all of a sudden he goes on a freaking heater with his swing or with his strokes gain approach. And Hostler's the same way. You watch him, you're like, well, look, it looks nice, like the left wrist got some flexion, shaft comes down nice, he opens up, shaft exits beautifully, like, yep, check. And then you look at his stats, like, what? How? I don't know this for sure, but I get the feeling Hostler kind of plays golf swing a little bit. Just kind of, I don't know if he's too technical or what it is, but it's not panning out right statistically. And what keeps him afloat is his putter. He's one of the best putters in the game, and he's got some length. So we've seen his name pop, but I tend to probably I'll probably look. What was your name? You said Michael Glick, right? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He's up there. He is.
I got a massive bomb for a top 40.
Top 40 bomb. Let's finish with that.
He's plus 440 to top 40. Okay.
Okay.
That's a bomb. That's out there. This is on FanDuel. Okay. What if I told you? I'm gonna tease him. Okay. What if I told you that in his last 6 events, okay, and that would be 20 rounds because he's missed the cut in 2 of these events. In his last 20 rounds, he's gained over 12 strokes on approach. 12.
Wow.
And in his last 6 events, he's gained strokes both around the green and with the putter to a pretty nice clip in 5 of his last 6. And he's got 5 top 40s this season on the PGA Tour and like 4 border like top 45s that didn't
Mhm.
count, right? Sung Yul No is plus 440. Now this
Okay.
guy may be the worst driver of the golf ball that is holding his PGA Tour card. I mean, you talk about losing it off the tee. Look at his fairways and look at his distance versus accuracy numbers. He hits it far enough. Like he's fine. He's got 116 club head speed, averages 174 mile an hour ball speed. But my God, this guy cannot keep it in the yard. Now, last week at the 3M, he saved himself with his irons and short game. This week, a little more open. You don't have the water hazards to contend with. Sung Yul No plus 440, top 40 bomb.
Wow.
Yeah. Look at his driver, dude. In his
Yeah.
last 4 events with the driver, let's see, 9, 12, 15, 16. He's 16 and a half strokes off the tee in 4 events. I think I could do better on the PGA Tour with my driver. I think I could lose less than 16 strokes in 4 events.
Yeah. There you go. What is he? Plus what?
Plus 440 on FanDuel to top 40. There may be a better number out there. That was just the one I pulled up.
Good stuff, man.
All right.
I love it.
Enjoyed it.
Dave Barnett, Tour Junkies. Go check him out. It's Tour /Junkies.
Underscore is what they call it.
_ Junkies.
Tour _ Junkies.
And then go check them out. Their podcast too. You got a lot of different podcasts going on. Keep up the good work, my man. I appreciate you jumping on. I know you got more to do.
Thanks, buddy. Enjoyed it.
All right, bud.
See ya.